Okay, you guys, here we go. This is the Kern River Fly Shop Podcast. I'm your host, Guy Jeans, podcasting directly from the Kern River Fly Shop in Kernville, California. On this podcast, we discuss everything outdoors. We talk about conservation, music, and life. This episode is brought to you by Sims Fishing Products, Fish It Well, Reddington Fly Rods, Find Your Water, Rio Lines, Leaders, and Tippets, Make the Connection, and Costa Sunglasses, whose frames are made from recycled nets to help protect our oceans. I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's do this! All right, you guys, welcome to the podcast. This is Guy, and I want to welcome the folks from the Kern River Conservancy, some of my friends, Gary Ananian and Kristen Pettick. Say hello.
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 How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a Just Outstanding IPA from the local Kern River Brewing Company.
Nice.
And we totally went together because I have the Riverita hard seltzer.
Nice.
Tastes like a margarita in a can.
You know, I'm super stoked to have you guys.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having us.
Yeah, I mean, I want to let everybody know, the podcast is to kind of fill people in on, what's going on in our community here on the Kern River. And you guys are some of the movers and shakers in this area. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Yeah, man.
I'm the mover, Gary's the shaker.
The Kern River Conservancy, I want to dive into that for sure, and talk about all the stuff that you guys do. But I want to get a little history on you, Gary, and you, Kristen, and how you guys got up here and the jump and all that. But first, I want to read your guys' vision, which I think is amazing, and I'm going to read it so folks can go and check it out on your guys' website, which is kernriverconservancy.org. Plug.
Boom. Where you can also donate too.
Yeah, exactly.
And go to volunteer.
So
Yes.
this is a really cool vision statement that you guys have up on your website, and I just thought it was amazing. And I'm going to read this. This is their vision statement. We are an organization that values the intrinsic worth of the members and volunteers, recognizes our shared qualities, and embraces our differences. We appreciate all persons as a key character of our community, foster a spirit of openness and active engagement, and strive to be diverse and inclusive in every aspect of life. In doing so, we ensure opportunity for all who work and volunteer for the Kern River Conservancy. I love that. We believe that reflective, thoughtful, and respectful examination of the differing dimensions of diversity educates and empowers all who work and volunteer here to be advocates for inclusion and equality. All members of Kern River Conservancy share in cultivating, sustaining, and continuously developing an environment in which equality is intentionally sought and inclusiveness is practiced. Kern River Conservancy is a powerful example of community enriched by diversity in all forms, and the challenges and rewards that come with diverse representation, thought, and expression. Boom.
Boom.
I love that. And, reading that, I was like, that is so cool. That is so you guys. And we're going to talk more about that. But one of the podcasts I talk about making the jump and, moving up here. I made the jump where, I moved up here from Ventura and started the business here, the fly fishing business. And both of you guys have done that as well. So I want to talk to you guys about that. We'll start with you, Gary, and how that all started, and first, where did you grow up and that sort of thing?
So I was pretty much born and raised in East Hollywood, a little area called Little Armenia. A very immigrant-rich neighborhood, mostly Armenians, Los Salvadorians, Mexicans. It was pretty cool growing up in that whole culture of having like the salad bowl theory, of immigration. So It was pretty cool to grow up in that kind of environment. But I also grew up over there in the early to mid 80s, which was the height of the gang culture of LA. So obviously the street was full of, gang violence and the gangbangers and all that kind of stuff. So, we got to grow up in that time frame, and we got to experience the LA riots when I was young. And remember my dad said, we're moving, pack your bags, we're out of here.
Is that how he said it?
Well, pretty much he said that with a nickel-plated 357 Magnum in his hand. It was half the neighborhood was on fire. He's like, get in the car, we're getting out of here.
Wow.
Wow. So where did you go?
We went to a family member's house for a little bit, And then from there, we ended up moving to Burbank right after.
Okay.
So I started my high school time down in Burbank.
Okay. What about you, Kristen? Where did you grow up, and how did you get up here and that sort of thing?
So I don't have as exciting stories, Gary. I grew up in white suburbia. And actually I was born in Bakersfield, California. And then my parents soon moved to Lancaster and Palmdale, which is high desert. And I grew up there, and then we transported back to Bakersfield. It's like a black hole that like sucks you back in for some reason. And then I wound up moving to Santa Cruz for college. And then I wound up back in Bakersfield because I had my daughter, and I moved to Kernville about 2 years ago because, well, a multitude of reasons, but my mom lives here and I love to recreate.
Your mom lives here in
Yeah.
Kernville?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
She's my neighbor.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I can borrow a cup of sugar from her.
Nice.
So, so now we've been here, and I think Gary has more to finish about his story, though.
I want to ask you something real quick. So your job that you have now, what is your title? It's very interesting.
Yeah, so my current title is a water resources planner for the city of Bakersfield. Obviously, I don't live in Bakersfield, but I do my job remotely. I do all environmental project management and permitting for the Kern River, which is an interesting topic. You could do about 700 podcasts on that topic.
Okay.
So if you ever want to talk about that, I am totally down.
So how did you two meet? How did that go down?
She slid into my DMs on Instagram.
Oh, he's
True
actually
story.
not wrong. So when I moved here, one of the things I was really big about is I wanted to get involved in the community. Nice. And with my background and what I do, I somehow stumbled upon the Conservancy, and I really enjoyed what they were doing. I'd been watching them for a while. That sounds creepy. I've been watching Gary for a while. So I seriously, the day after I moved here, I called him and asked him to meet me for coffee. And I think you offered me a position on the board, like,
Same day.
yeah, I think we were just talking, and he's like, yeah, just come on the board, please.
Awesome. So let's go back a little bit. So you guys obviously are on the board of the Kern River Conservancy. Gary's the president, and you're on the board.
Yep.
Kristen.
That's correct.
So let's go back a little bit. So what was your first experience on the Kern River? And was it like something that you just immediately loved and you wanted to come here and be here? I mean,
So growing up in LA, we, like, as kids, our parents would take us to like youth sports or Boy Scouts and stuff like that. We did that really young. And then obviously when people get into junior high and high school, you kind of grow out of that because you want to play sports or you want to go bang in the alleys with the gangs and do whatever you want to do. You know what? True story. So, you know, you kind of live that teenage lifestyle of being reckless and doing whatever. So it wasn't like, I want to say, I mean, we would do occasional camping trips here and there, like around Joshua Tree and the Angeles National Forest that was close to us. But we were never like crazy, like connected to, you know, the environment. And it wasn't until, this is going to sound funny. So me and my old roommate, Robert, this new show came on TV called Man vs. Wild.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, I remember that.
Love that show.
I want to say it was maybe like 2003 or 2004, somewhere around there. And we kind of watched the first episode and we were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And we started talking about being Boy Scouts and going camping all the time and how cool that used to be. And so we went to, I want to say either REI or Big Five. I can't remember where it was. And we went to buy a bunch of camping gear. We're like, oh, let's go camping. Let's get back into it. And we were at the checkout stand and there was a book. And it was called Camping in California. And, you know, you'll get this book. There's all these campsites. And, you know, the internet's still early in the day. So we didn't have access to like Google and all these crazy apps to find campgrounds and stuff. So I bought this book. I went home. And I opened it. When I opened it, it was like on the letter K. And the first page was Kern River.
Stop it.
It was, seriously. I didn't go like from page 1 and on. I just like opened it. It was like right there. And it was a photo of the hobo campground. and the rapid, the Hobo Rapid was in the photo. And, you know, growing up in LA, a river for us in LA, my experience with the river down there was really like, this is where like the gangsters hang out. Like you go watch like the lowriders do hydraulics and the kids are painting murals and stuff like that.
Like in the LA River?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and like down by Cesar Chavez Boulevard, where there used to be an Armenian church there. It was like the only Armenian church that had a Catholic service, so we would go over there. And right across the street was the LA River. And these little Mexican kids would come up to me and be like, hey, come hang out with us. And we'd go hang out and play basketball. And one day they took me down to the river. I had never been in the river before. And,
Wait, how old were you?
like 8 or 9.
Wow.
Cool.
And it's a concrete river back then, you know. And so we go down there and I'm like completely like in awe of like these lowriders and these cholos, and they're doing murals and they're dancing, they're breakdancing. It was super cool, early 90s, late 80s. And so that was my experience with a river. I didn't know what a river was. I had no idea. You know, just being a kid from the inner city, we had no idea. So we were all excited about seeing this river. For me and a couple of my other friends, the only river we had ever visually seen was the Colorado when we were kids. We went to the, what do you call it? What dam is that up there? Hoover Dam?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Hoover Dam. So that was it. That was like our experience. So we came up here. We got to Hobo Campground. It was like Christmas weekend. It was like 10 degrees, freezing.
You just drove up here?
Yeah, we just decided to go out there. Like, screw it, let's just go. And we were all like just taken back because we had never been in this type of environment before. And I was just like, I didn't even sit up camp. I went right to the river. And
Oh, no.
I did. I was
Where? Hopefully not at the mouth of the canyon.
No, it was at the Hobo Campground. Speaking of that, when we were coming in, we saw the death toll sign. We're like, geez, what's happening over here? You know? Like, we're from LA. We don't even see stuff like that, death toll signs, you know? Like, this week, 42 people killed in the Kern River Valley, you know? We didn't know. But I got there, and I'm just like, I was so taken back. I was like, dude, this is like the most amazing place. And I got so connected. And we came all the time. Every couple of months, we would come out to the Kern River. And we always camped at Hobo. Because we, you know, you just didn't have the technology back then to know where stuff is. So one night we ran out of firewood, and these people next to us said, "Oh, you can go up to Lake Isabella and buy fire." Well, we never know. We don't know where Lake Isabella is. We've never driven past Borel. So we got in our cars and drove out to Lake Isabella, and sure enough, there's like this lake. We're like, "Oh my God, there's a lake!" So,
There's more water.
yeah, seriously. So we go to Lake Isabella, and in the next summer, we decided to camp like at Paradise Cove and stuff like that and experience the lake. But we quickly hated it because of the wind. It was just so windy. You couldn't do anything. We were always paranoid about our campfire and dirt blowing everywhere. And one day we're in town, and we see a bunch of buses with whitewater rafts on them. And we're like, dude, there's whitewater rafting here? We've never done it before. We're just a bunch of kids. And so we start looking into it, and then we figure out there's a whitewater rafting company in Kernville, so we come up there, and at the time it was Kern River Tours that we went on. And that's when we were exposed to the Upper Kern. And we were just like blown away, like 2004, like, oh my God, like this is like crazy. Like this place just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
And
It truly does.
and
Yes, it does.
every year, like we just kept discovering new things, and then we discovered the Trail of 100 Giants, and then we discovered like Lloyd's Meadow Road and Peppermint and the Forks of the Kern and all these things, and we were just like, I couldn't get enough of it. Like I can come back every single day at the time, but also at the same time, coming up here, it started to get irritating with all the trash and all the problems that we were seeing here, because as a bunch of kids from the inner city, we were escaping that. But we were coming here and we're finding it here still. You know,
Right.
that's kind of how the spark started for me.
Right. But seeing all that, like, you know, coming from LA and seeing all the trash and everything, and then coming up here, that didn't, for some reason up here, it made it so that it was like wrong type of thing? Or
Yeah, I mean, like, so in LA, like, you're so spoiled living in LA because you have all these services. People come clean up after you.
Right.
You know, restaurants bend backwards for their customers, and you know, you have trash service all the time. The sweepers come in and they clean. So there's always somebody to clean. But when you come to the forest, there's nobody doing that.
Right.
And over the years of coming camping here, it got to the point where we stopped coming for a while. And as you know, as a bunch of friends, we decided that we're not going to come here anymore because it was just getting ridiculous. It was just like so bad. And we're like, this is not the experience we're looking for. Like, we want to enjoy ourselves in nature and not come here and have to stare at graffiti on the rocks, a car battery in the fire pit. Like, these were just things that we did not want to experience. And so we stopped coming for several years.
Yeah. Okay, Kristen, how about you? What was your first experience coming up here and checking things out? Or was your mom here already? Or
So when I moved back to Kern County, I was probably 10, but I have to tell you that listening to Gary, I don't have these like mind-blowing experiences, and I could not pinpoint like this was the first time that I was here, because I grew up going to Mammoth every 6 months, and my parents had a cabin in Shaver Lake. So this environment was always in my life.
yeah,
And it was all like I've always enjoyed the outdoors. I've grown up fishing, skiing, doing all the things, you know. But when I came up here, and I transported here, I experienced what Gary's talking about, and that was the first time I've actually opened my eyes to that. Was now that I live here, I'm paying attention. I didn't realize like how bad it got until I, you know, sat and actually looked, and I was like, wow, this is a really big deal.
for sure. You know, I'm going to talk about the first time I saw you. And that was at a Forest Service meeting, I think.
Yeah.
But, and I think we introduced each other to each other, but, in 2004, you kind of started this whole thing, or when did
No,
you?
2013.
2013. So I had been guiding here and stuff. And so one of the things that I used to do before I take my clients out was I'd go up and we still do it, but we'll clean trash of the areas that we're going to take our clients, you know, and then, come back here, get our clients and go there. Right. And so I was driving up the river one day, and it must have been, I don't know, in that time period, you know, 2012, 2013. And I had this vision of like some company or somebody doing something about this, you know, and then it was like, man, there needs to be like an organization that does something like this, man. There's just, you know, there's so much trash and whatnot. And then I went to the Forest Service meeting, and you were there, and I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
This dude's stepping up, right on.
It's funny because before I met you, I had seen you at Old Gold Ledge with some clients, and I just happened to be on like this bender at work, and I'm like, I'm just gonna drive to Kernville and like hang out for the day, you know. So I left Hollywood like at 3 a.m. getting off of work from the club, and coming up here just to enjoy the sunset and hang out. And you were just walking by at Old Gold Ledge. You had some clients that you were fishing with, and I didn't know anything. I saw your Kern River Fly Shop on the car thing, and then I was like, I don't know who that guy is. What's fly fishing? I didn't know what fly fishing
What's
was.
that dude?
Yeah, I didn't even know what fly fishing is. Like, you know, like we don't have stuff like that in the inner city. Where now, you know, fly fishing is like a huge thing in LA and the LA River and the San Gabriel.
That's so
it's
cool.
completely different from what it is now. But for me back then, I was like, what is that?
Right. Okay, so you came up here and you had a day gig, or a night gig, I should say, at a pretty famous Hollywood nightclub, and you were the manager. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then you started the Kern River Conservancy. You just all of a sudden, well, let's talk about that. How did you come up with that idea, and how did that all go down?
We came up here in 2010, which was a big water year, and my friends were like pretty stoked out of, hey, let's go rafting. It's class 5 this year. Like, we don't know what we're talking about. We're stupid. Let's just go.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of beep bop boopers, and we're gonna go over there. And so we book a trip, and then, you know, we go rafting, and I think like the water back then was like 7,000 or 8,000 CFS, like something
ginormous.
way.
It was like ridiculous. And we, like, the guide that was taking us down river was like his first day out of guide school, and this guy had no
Surprised
idea.
you survived to tell about that.
So we end up like flipping the boat at like the Tequila Rapid at the beginning of
Oh
it.
my God.
Right?
So you swam?
We swam, and I have it all on videos, like on my friend's GoPro.
Oh my
And
God.
so we swam like a decent amount. And I remember getting, like, if you ever been through the Tequila Rapid or any like mad rapid, it's like being stuck in a laundry machine.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get out to get air, and you just can't. But so finally I get out to some calm water, and there's like this boat full of like 7, 8-year-old Girl Scouts in here. Right? Like, this is the boat that's gonna rescue me. And I'm like a big guy. I'm like 220, 240 at the time. And so these girls are trying to like bring me into the boat. I have like no energy because I just literally tried to swim 1 mile of like class 5 rapids.
Dude, that's a gnarly rapid.
It is. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, all of us like swam it. Like, it was insane. And I remember, like, as we were going down river, the guide screaming because 2 of the girls on our boat were hanging on to him. I was like, dude, we're all going to die.
This is epic.
Yeah, like, we're going to end up on the board on the mouth of the canyon. So anyway, these girls like try to pull me in, and then the raft guy ended up helping get me up with this. I'm coming up, my shorts are falling off. And I'm like, great, they're going to see me butt booty naked right now.
Butt booty.
So anyway, so that weekend, we come back, and we had gone hiking for the weekend. We did a bunch of stuff, and it was kind of crazy because the weekend before, 2 people had drowned and died, and the weekend after our trip, 2 people had drowned and died. So it was kind of like one of those moments where like, damn, we were lucky to be alive. But at the same time, there's trash again. This is in 2010, and everywhere we go, there's trash.
Right.
So I remember coming back, maybe like a year later on another trip, we came up here, and then it really like ticked me off. So I started volunteering with the Sierra Club down in LA at their San Fernando Valley chapter. And I get over there, and it's literally like a bunch of 90-year-old senior citizens in there.
So wait a second. So you just had this like vision or this feeling of that you needed to do something about it, and so you went to the Sierra Club. Is that right?
So I didn't have the vision yet, but it was kind of like circling in my head like around 2011, maybe 2012. I can't really remember because every time we came here we drank a lot, and
Right.
it's
Had a good time.
Yeah, it's the Kern River. It's like the Las Vegas of wild and scenic rivers. Like you come here to party, and anyway. So I
One way to sell it, Gary.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Me neither.
So anyway, I go to these Sierra Club meetings. Everyone's like in their 80s and 90s, and all they talked about was like solar energy, green energy, policy, this, that. And I was like, are we ever going to go hiking? Are we ever going to do anything? And we never did. Like every time we had some type of outing, it had to do with some politician coming to talk. And I didn't like that at all. I hated it.
Yeah.
So we took a break for a little bit. Then we came back in 2013 in April. And we get to the campsite. There must have been like a rave at this campground. It was at Ogo Ledge again. All the rocks were covered in graffiti, broken glass everywhere, glow sticks everywhere. It was just a disaster. And we had no choice to clean it up because we're going to camp here. We have to clean all this glass up because, we're going to be drinking ourselves. We're going to walk barefoot through the sand. So a Forest Service patrol shows up, comes out of the truck right up to us, and starts kind of like accusing us of doing all the vandalism in the trash. And I'm like, dude, we just literally got here. Like, we haven't even emptied out our trucks yet. We just got here. We're cleaning all this up. And he's like, okay, do you have a permit for your fire? We're like, yeah. So we showed him our fire permit, and he starts walking away. And as he's walking away, I ask him, hey, is somebody going to come clean this or anything? He's like, nope. And just got up and left. And it was that interaction that started everything. Because I said, well, if this is how the Forest Service is acting, then this is probably the reason why this place is all jacked up. It's like these people just don't care. That Monday coming back, I sent an email to the Forest Service, and
Thank you.
I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to come volunteer here because we come here so much. Like, at least let me try to volunteer the next time I come up. And at the time, we had 2 new people here, which was our district ranger and our rec officer were brand new. And so the rec officer replied back, and she said, we don't have any volunteer programs. We don't have a volunteer organization. There's no nonprofits attached to this river. There was like absolutely nothing. I was like so blown away by this. Like,
Right.
what? And the more I researched it, the more I looked into like wild and scenic rivers and this and that. And I saw that literally almost every wild and scenic river has a nonprofit attached to it, except for the Kern. I was like, what? How? So I reached back out to the Forest Service. I said, hey, I'm going to start my own nonprofit. They're like, really? I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, we'd love that. So the next week I come back again with my friends, and we're sitting on the beach at Ogo Ledge, and we're drinking heavy. And I start like seeing like a black puma walking on the river shore. Like I'm start tripping out. All right.
What? Where's this going?
I don't know. So I look at my friend Sam and my friend David, and I'm like, dude, there's like something wrong. Like, why is there a black puma on the Kern River? But it was just like we were just tripping. Anyway.
That had nothing to do with the story. Meow.
So that morning I woke up extremely hungover, but
No way.
I made the decision that morning. I woke up and I told everybody that I'm going to start a nonprofit.
The black puma was the sign.
Yeah, it was a pit attack.
That's awesome.
So I decided to send an email, told the forest, I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. And all my friends in LA are laughing. They're like, "You're an idiot. You're never gonna clean that river. That place is so trashed. It's so backwards. Like, you will never achieve anything there." And I knew they were right because it was just a huge battle for me. That are we actually gonna be able to do this from LA? On top of that, like nobody knows who I am. Like, how am I gonna do this? Okay, what? We'll just figure it out. So used my own money, went got our nonprofit stuff taken care of, paperwork taken care of, and about 2-3 months later was the summer. And I called the Forest Service and I said, "We're good to go. We got our paperwork ready." And the lady at the Forest Service was like, "Wait, are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, like they didn't even think I was being for real."
Really? No way.
So to get to a nonprofit, you have to get like a permit and all this kind of stuff, or how does that work?
So you just you fill out paperwork with the Secretary of State's office that you're going to be a nonprofit, and then you have to fill out paperwork with the IRS to be exempt and tax exempt and stuff like that.
Okay.
So then,
It's like starting a business.
yeah. So once I had all that ready, the Forest Service gave me like an agreement to sign, and we're ready to go.
That's where it gets fancy.
Yeah. So from that point on, it was doing cleanups. And I thought I had it all figured out being from LA. And I was like, I got this. It's not a big deal. And it was because nobody knew who we were. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody volunteered. Nobody came out. And I was at this point begging people to come out from LA, drive them up here, buy them food, buy them beers just to come clean. And as time went on, it got harder and harder because the trash problem was getting worse and worse. And I got to the point where nobody wanted to help. They're like, "Dude, we're not going all the way up there for that anymore. Like, we're going to clean it up and it's going to be dirty again tomorrow." And they were right.
Right.
So, there was a lot of times where it was very defeating. Like, I'm like, what am I doing over here? Like, I'm wasting my personal money. For years and years, everything came out of my pocket because I couldn't fundraise. Nobody knew who I was. I can't ask for donations. Nobody knew who I was. I even had some wacko from the other side of the lake send me an email. He's like, "I know what you're up to. You're a secret agent for the Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles, and you're going to steal our water."
Dude, I mean, some of the like haters that over the years is like ridiculous that I've seen. Like they have no idea the good that the Kern River Conservancy is doing for the community.
Yeah, there's, on that stuff, I thrive on that. I thrive on the haters. Like, I don't get down on it.
Yeah.
I laugh about it. I'll take screenshots and send it to Kristen.
He totally does.
I do.
It's like 12 a.m. I'm oh my gosh, what did Gary send me now?
Serious?
Yeah, like I'm like just today, this guy wanted to challenge me about fire restrictions.
Yep.
He's like, "What's the point? There's firefighters anyway, so why can't we just have fires?" Like, these are the kind of people that are engaging us on social media.
Right, but this is why it's important to have the Conservancy here.
Yeah.
And that's why I joined, I saw, yes, it's still at the beginning of its stages, but I'm seeing it grow exponentially, especially with the amount of people that are coming here now.
Yeah.
During the pandemic. I'm sure you've experienced that
So,
too.
did you hear these numbers? So I said it in one of the other podcasts that we usually have about 1 million visitors, and last year we had 2 million.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I believe it.
Really?
Yeah, that's from a good source too.
Well, on Sunday of Labor Day, which was probably the busiest day this valley has ever seen in the history of this valley.
Last September.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
You mean before the gold rush?
Wow, really? Did you dye your hair?
Why are we talking about my hair? Okay, keep talking.
Gold.
You're gold.
So anyway, I was talking with some of the search and rescue guys in the county sheriff's department. They told me that Sunday of Labor Day weekend, the Kern Valley saw 75,000 people here.
No way.
Yeah. I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Because it was just so crazy. I'd never seen
Because
anything
you're
like it.
out there every day.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really gets me is that Gary is out there every single day.
Yeah.
And no other organization does that.
Right.
It's like he's on patrol.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, he's just driving around." I'm like, yeah, he's driving around because he's educating people and he's helping reporting. He's helping with search and rescue. Like, he's actually out there.
I'm a search and rescue guy now.
You help with that.
I have stickers on my truck too.
You help make calls.
Okay.
You're like, "There's people on the river and they're stuck on rocks. Come help us." I've actually run onto you on the road when you're in that action. So I know that's what you do.
So getting back to the actual jump going from Los Angeles. So you're a nightclub, you run a nightclub basically.
Yeah.
And that's like, from like you're not getting off until 3 a.m, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. and then you're probably not sleeping. You're driving up here.
Yeah, I would just go home, shower, change, and drive. Like,
Okay.
You know, because in LA there's 24-hour Starbucks everywhere, so I'd pick up a couple of cold brews and
Yeah.
make my way up.
So-
That's not dangerous.
Right.
I wasn't drunk. I mean, I was so
We're just hopped
hell-bent.
up on caffeine.
Well, 'cause back then I really wanted to come up here and like enjoy the sunrise. Like just come up here
Right.
and just watch the sun
Nice,
come
dude.
up in the canyon. Like
Yeah.
see the alpine glow on the mountains, and you know that I really love that.
Awesome. So, okay, so what made you finally make the jump? Because I know that you quit your job at the nightclub and then you became a full-time resident of
Yeah.
Kernville. And so how did that all go down? And I mean, it takes some cojones to do that,
Yeah.
you know, and to drop, you know, steady job and come up here and do that. Is that something that was just in your soul that you thought that you could do, or was it just something that just happened?
I honestly never thought I'd move here. I really thought like no matter what, like I never thought of this being like a full-time thing. It was more like a passion project. I can do from LA. I can still work my job because I love being in the clubs and bars. I thrive on that high energy of music and the lights and the girls and all this stuff and the celebrities.
I'm sorry, this cracks me. And you love the sushi.
Yeah, let's not forget about sushi.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I really didn't think I'd ever move up here. I just, you know, I think it's like, oh, it's never going to get to that point. I just, you know, because we struggled for 5 years.
Yeah.
For 5 years, it was a struggle to keep the doors open and the lights on. It was
Right.
always money coming out of my pocket. Our fundraisers, we were lucky if we raised $5,000 all year. You know, it was just still trying to get people to see who I was and what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was the big water year in 2017 when I came up with this idea of doing a river safety PSA. You know, like we're about to have like the apocalypse whitewater season here.
Wait,
Sure.
so are you still in LA when you're talking about this? Oh,
Yeah, because at the point at that
okay.
time the snowpack was like over already 200%. And
Yeah, yeah.
then the
was
outfitters and everybody was predicting like a hellish summer.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, let's start doing some stuff, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And the reputation of the killer Kern made it all the way out to the New York Times. And so we started getting some publicity from that about like who the Kern River Conservancy was and whatever. So as we're getting ready for this like wild spring and summertime here, a good friend and a mentor, Meredith McKenzie,
Yeah.
came up and said, this year is a 50-year anniversary of the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, and they're having this event called River Rally, which they have it every single year. And it's going to be in Lake Tahoe. It's 1 week long, and you have to go.
Nice.
That was it. There was no asking. She looked at me and said, you have to go. And I'm so intimidated because this is a convention of almost 1,000 people that are environmentalists, scientists.
Right. And they're like PhD, masters,
all of it.
biologists.
Yeah, all of it. And I'm over here like, what the hell am I going to do over there?
You're like,
Yeah.
in your nightclub.
So Meredith decides she's going to go ahead and, you know, put me into teaching a workshop. I'm like, okay, like, what are we going to teach? She's like, you are really good at talking to people, at engaging people. So you have something a lot of organizations are having trouble with, and that's engaging millennials. So she came up with this
Nice.
idea of submitting a workshop for me to go teach, and it was engaging millennials on wild and scenic rivers. But it was the way my title and everything was written in the River Rally program. It says, learn how a nightclub manager from Hollywood, California started the Kern River Conservancy and, you know, blah, blah, blah.
A nightclub.
So imagine you're in this like 20-page program and it's like dull as possible.
Yeah.
And then you see this. You're like, who's
So
this?
exciting.
I'm going to that.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's like, we're going to go see who this guy is. So anyway, I get to River Rally. It's at Skull Valley at the hotel, super fancy.
Yeah.
And all these people there that I've only read about or seen on social media that I was meeting in person. And I was just super excited to meet all these people I've read about and watched movies and stuff like that. And so the whole thing is like action packed. The first 3 days you're in workshops. Every hour on the hour there's a separate workshop to go to for all 1,000 of us. So I'm going to everything: fundraising, grant writing, capacity building, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing it all. I'm absorbing as much as I can
For sure.
out of this event. And then the following 3 days were field trips: whitewater rafting on the Truckee, float trip on the Truckee, West Walker River trip, the Reno trip, and I went on all of it. I'm like trying to get it all. I went to downtown Reno where they have a whitewater park, and I wanted to see how they build that whitewater park. If that's, something that can happen in Kernville. It's just, there's all this stuff that I was just absorbing.
Yeah.
And then the day came of my workshop. I was so nervous. This was the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm going to talk in front of these people and convince some environmentalists that I know what I'm talking about.
But you do.
How'd that go?
So I go to the bar, took a shot of tequila, and then came back.
Just one.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like,
Yeah. Just get your motivation
I
up.
didn't want to be like a stereotypical like club guy. Like, oh, here he is, he's already drunk. It's like it's 10 in the morning.
But wait, did you come out with the music?
No, but I did.
Dang it.
But I did start the workshop off with a video that we had done a couple years ago of the Lower Kern River, which is really super. If you ever watched it,
Yes.
super cinematic, a lot of cool music. And I started the video off with that, and the workshop with that. And mind you, that the average number of people in workshops was 10 to 15 people, and all the workshops were boring, like graphs, pie charts. I'm just like, what's happening? So I'm over here. I'm like,
Gary doesn't like math.
I don't. So I'm stacked on videos on my presentation. I'm like ready to go. I'm like, I got screenshots from social media, this, that, like trying to teach. And our room filled up. And then it filled up into the hallway. And then it filled up beyond the hallway. They had to put the speaker outside.
Wow.
Because everybody was curious to know who this dude is. That's a nightclub promoter, manager, whatever. That's over here and has this amazing organization. So I go over there, and at the time, our president and vice president, which was Tricia LaBelle and Meredith McKenzie, they co-hosted the workshop with me, and we talked a lot about social media we're doing on the Kern River. And everybody in this room was like taking notes. They were like so intrigued.
It's very important these days for
because
sure.
social media is not a tool that environmentalists use.
I know, and it blows my mind.
And so here I am showing them that it is. It's your most important tool for community engagement. And, they're just like, they don't know what to do. They're like, what? Where do we go? How are you doing this? Like, what's a hashtag?
What's a hashtag?
So as soon as the workshop's done, like I get this like round of applause, and I walk out. I'm getting like bombarded by people left and right.
Awesome.
Everybody wants my contact info. Everybody wants my number. They want to talk to me more. This lady from, I forgot the name of the forest out in Montana, wanted to hire me as a consultant to come out there and teach them how to do social media. So it was all that kind of cool stuff. And like the president of American Rivers, the president of River Network, both came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "You blew it out of the water. Everyone's talking about you, blah, blah, blah." And out of nowhere, like this lady comes and taps my shoulder. She says, "Can I interview you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so we sit down, and her name was Bridget Crocker. And she, at the time, was a writer for like Patagonia and Outside Magazine. She's an author. She's a world-renowned raft guide who's rafted the biggest rivers in like China and Africa and out here. She's old school whitewater voyages back in the day. And so she tells me about her roots to the Kern, and we start talking, and like this 10-minute interview turned into like a 3-hour like discussion sitting in the lobby of the hotel. And I didn't think anything of it at the time.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just kind of like in this like phase of like ecstasy, like what just happened like in that hallway.
Sure.
Is
know?
this
Awesome.
when you decided to move to Kernville?
Not yet.
Oh.
So anyway, so she takes.
It takes a lot for him to move here, apparently.
So she.
Not fame. Is it fortune?
So anyway, so she writes all this information down, and she interviews a couple other people about me, and then some other people that were at River Rally, and that was it. So like the convention finished and everything, and before I drove back home, I stopped at Lake Tahoe at one of the shoreline. I decided to hang out there for a little bit, and I had like this epiphany, like boom.
Did the panther show up? I'm sorry. Move to Kernville. Meow.
And bebop pooped over me. So on my drive back, it's a long drive coming from Tahoe back to LA.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to LA, my mind was set. Monday I went to work and I put in my 2-week notice.
No way.
Stop it.
Just like that.
And when was that?
It was the first week of May.
What year?
What year?
Oh, no, not May, March. Oh, St. Patty's Day. When's St. Patty's Day?
17th.
Oh, March, right?
Yeah.
So it was in March then. Because my first day at the job at that bar was St. Patty's Day in 2010. And my last day was St. Patty's Day of 2020. Or no, 2018.
2018.
So I went, put in my notice. My work wasn't too happy about it because we had just lost one of our best bartenders, and the other manager had put in her notice as well. So all of us were like kind of leaving at the same time. But you know, we have our dreams that we have to follow, and you know, you have to do it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I went home. I told my family, I'm out of here. They're like, what do you mean?
So glad you did, dude.
Yeah, so I
That's
moved,
awesome.
So when I moved here, like it was a game on. Like I had my kill face on. Like whoever stands in my way is getting murdered. Like there's
Wait,
like
what?
I was like so serious about
Yeah.
being successful.
Awesome.
And
That's what it-
proving to everybody. Like
what it takes.
I was like fucking John Gotti. Like who's gonna fuck with me? You know?
Seriously, dude.
No, but you still carry that too, and I think that that's important. You know, that passion never dies out for you.
It will never.
That's the attitude you got to have.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Succeed.
And there's times where I've really hit a wall here sometimes, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, this is like a waste of my time.
And then that's where I come in, and I'm like a cheerleader. I'm like, yes, we can do it! Oh my gosh! No, 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 no! I think I just hit the equipment. I'm sorry.
So have you ever wanted to just quit?
There's times, yeah, for sure. There's days where I'm on that river, like on a Sunday, Monday after the
Yeah.
weekend's over, and like last summer.
Oh,
Yeah.
last summer was
Oh
awful.
my God! I mean, just me, and like all the stuff I had to deal with, what we dealt with on the river.
Well, because there was no Forest Service out, everybody had to go home, and Gary was it, and he couldn't have volunteers because of COVID.
Yeah.
So he wasn't allowed to ask anybody to come out, and the whole summer, all I heard was, you know, him being defeated, and I'm like, dude, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Nice.
a day where I actually found myself at Olgo Ledge again. I went down there.
You need to stop going there.
That's a spot.
That's a spot. That's a magical spot.
Yeah, it's a magic
That's where
spot.
the panther lives.
Yep.
Where the panther lives.
I had to go seek
How
my
come I
fortune.
haven't seen this panther?
You haven't been drunk with me over there.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm sitting at Olgo Ledge to have like a moment to myself, and of course there's a stupid mylar balloon in the tree. So I'm over here with an orange picker trying to get this stupid thing down.
Were you by yourself?
Yeah, I was.
Were you drinking?
No, but I should have been.
Dang it.
Anyway, so I grabbed the balloon, I go down and sit on a rock, got my feet in the water, just like so defeated. Like I just want to pack my bags and leave. Like
Really?
I was like, F this place, F the people that are coming here. Like I am so done. And then all of a sudden I heard like the car door. And I looked and it was our district ranger.
Oh my gosh, I remember you telling me about
And
this.
he happened to be driving by. He saw my car and wanted to know what I was up to. So he walked over there, sat next to me, like, you know, and we like had a man talk for about a solid hour. And, you know, like that was it. He kind of like
Love that guy.
made me realize like
Yeah.
what my purpose was here and like how important I am
Yeah.
to this place. And
Are you gonna cry?
no,
Oh, okay.
I don't cry.
That kind of sounded like
Yeah.
you were.
Al's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And then after that, I just went back into, you know, Top Gun mode and like Goose Maverick down the river and like,
Nice.
we're going to tear shit up.
Did you come down in one of those jets?
Actually, I do every morning.
Oh,
The first jet that flies over is me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I am down on the lower Kern, and I'm down there with clients, and I'm down by Democrat, and I'm walking up that trail, and there was graffiti everywhere on those rocks and stuff. And I think that you had just come out with a Kern River Conservancy app with like graffiti location, that sort of thing. And I told you, oh, man, you know, that's one of the cool things about the Kern River Conservancy is I can call Gary up and go, dude, you know, because I'm
Right.
on the river all the time. There's fresh graffiti at Thunderbird or wherever it is, and then you guys go up there and take care of it. But how did that app get started, and what is that app all about? Like, so people know.
So my thing has always been about reaching people.
Yeah.
And how and what is the best route to get information to people. And in the age of technology and smartphones, I decided that we had to create a mobile app where people can download it and they have it, and it's updated constantly,
And it's free.
and it's free, and it's on Android and Apple phones, and you get notifications too on there. If something happens, we'll send out a notification out. And it was a big water year when I built it, and I
Right.
said this is the perfect timing because we can put out safety messages out for people, and we did. And so that app kind of got a lot of media attention. It kind of like really propelled us up to the next level. and really kind of staked our legitimacy from being just a grassroots organization, but an organization that had the capacity to do just about anything we wanted. And doing that river safety PSA with all the agencies not only came out amazing, but it took off. And now there's so many other agencies throughout the United States that uses our video for their training purposes.
Nice.
You know, they use our fire safety video that we have with Smokey Bear for their training purposes. And that's never been done before, you know, and even the Forest Service here will show that video, you know, which is pretty cool because there is no other nonprofit out there that has a Smokey Bear video. You know, nobody has that but us. You know, nobody has the resources because the benefit of me being who I am is I'm always looking for the next avenue of like, where is everything at? Where's the trend? Where's the change? Like, what do we, like, I have to adapt. Like now I'm trying to figure it out. Like, where are people going? Like, what is REI's slogan for the summer? What is Patagonia's slogan for the summer? You know, like every year they have these new things that they come out and those things impact us. You know, people see these slogans and these new ads and they're like, oh, we have to go. You know, so I really like adapting to that and like understanding what they're doing. And that always puts us ahead of the curve. We're 8 years in. I've got over 600 volunteers and I know every single volunteer. I never miss a cleanup. I show up to every single one because I want to see who everybody is. You know, I know everybody by name. I've shaken everybody's hands. And that's just the kind of person I am.
So the diversity and of all the different ethnicities are participating. Is that right?
100%. Yeah.
It's a really big deal for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
We want everybody, like, this is like an inclusive organization. So we want everybody to have a space in it. You know, like everybody has a say. Like, I'm not your boss.
Right.
I'm just some guy that's helping organize this. Like, you don't come to clean up and take orders, you know, like I'm just gonna, like, we're all gonna go out there together and do it. And I've had so many people who volunteer with other organizations outside of the area who have come and told me, like, they get starstruck. They're like, oh my God, you're the founder. Like, they'll shake my hand.
Awesome.
No, because you never meet people like that. You know, I've, like,
That's actually really true.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
And people trip out because they see me on Instagram doing the stories and giving updates and stuff like that. And people see who I am.
It's kind of like Guy.
What?
Yeah.
He's like the guy.
The guy?
But he's always there.
He's the flyest guy.
that.
Doesn't take a back seat. You guys are like in the forefront.
He's the flyest
great.
guy in town. Get it?
So going back to the app.
Yeah.
Okay, is that thing still going?
Yep.
How do people find it?
So you just go to your app store on your iPhone or your Android. You just download it for free. We've had the app for a little over 2 years now. We've got over 3,000 subscribers on it, which is very, very impressive.
Dude, sick. So if somebody finds graffiti on the river, what can they do?
So they can just go in the app and the Keep Kern Clean section, and then there's some boxes you have to check off, like what kind of trash is it? Is it like picnic trash or illegal dumping, graffiti? And then you can tag the name of the location you're at and stuff like that, and then we'll send us an alert and we'll know about it.
Awesome. So you guys just recently got a graffiti removal type system, is that correct?
Yeah.
And so what is that, and how do you guys do that?
So there's this awesome company down in LA called World's Best Graffiti Removers. And I actually...
awesome.
That sounds very silly. World's best cup of coffee.
That's
Oh
awesome.
my God. So
But it actually is.
So, oh, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Jim's giving us fresh beers here.
I'm sorry, he even opened it for me.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Jim.
I was actually just scrolling through Instagram, which I do a lot because that's where I get my intel for what's going on in our public lands. And, you know, I use like the hashtags Keep Kern Clean or Kern River or Kernville to see what other people are doing up here. I came across an organization called Trail Mothers down in LA. Amazing group. They do a lot of trash pickups and graffiti cleanups in like famous rock climbing areas down in LA. And they had this video where they had like this big rollaway Pelican case with a built-in pressure washer in it that they can take anywhere they want. And I was like, dude, what is that? Like, you know, I was like, sick. I got to get one of those. And they looked it up. It's like $2,000. I was like, holy shit, that's not going to happen. So anyway, we had recently just gotten like a couple $1,000s for a graffiti grant. And I was ready to go buy it. And then I was like, oh man, like I don't know if I want to spend all because it was still early. We didn't have any fundraisers yet, and our finances weren't 100% there. Just because it's early in the season and we're coming out of COVID, we don't know what's going to go on this summer. Is there going to be lockdowns or not? Are we going to have fundraisers? And we had our Earth Day cleanup, and Sergio Martinez from the Southern Sierra Fly Fishers, aka Sergio.
Yeah,
Safety
Sergio.
man.
Shout out to Sergio.
Safety man.
Search and rescue.
Yeah, you can search many times.
How come I don't have a cool intro like that?
It's the pit attack time.
Wow.
So anyway, he was nice enough on behalf of this fly fishing club to present us a check to cover the expenses for that.
Oh yeah,
unit.
that just happened.
Yeah, it was
at
about
the
a
last...
month ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we used all that money. We went and bought the pressure washer system, which is in the Pelican case that we can take anywhere.
Nice.
And we bought all the solvents and the detergents and whatever we needed to use, and so like we were set to
And
go.
it's all environmentally friendly,
Yeah, I mean, even though it's environmentally friendly,
which
we
is
still
really
don't.
important.
Yeah.
We still won't use it in the water. We use it for land-based stuff.
Right.
But for the rocks that are in the water or on the shore, we have to paint it. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. We can't pour anything in the
You
river.
don't want it going in the water
No.
and killing fish, right, guy?
All you people out there listening, please don't paint our rocks.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. This is good
Thank you.
PSA moment.
yeah. Stop.
Don't tag. Don't paint over.
Yeah,
Just don't touch them.
yeah.
Don't do it.
So,
The slender men look at you.
so with that app, people can get that app on the App Store and that sort of thing, and they can ping the little locations and all
I've
that.
actually done it
Me
many
too.
times.
It's awesome.
And there's a lot of information on there. Everything from leave no trace, fire safety.
Yeah.
You can even get your fire permit when you're coming up here. You can go on the app, get your fire permit.
No way. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's videos on there for river safety. There's a whole section on native trout for the Kern River that they can learn about.
Nice.
There's all the campsites that are dispersed are listed in there, like what's open, what's closed, restrictions, and stuff like that. So it's like a one-stop shop for everything. And there's no other app in this country that's like I like really study. Like when I go big, I'm going big.
Nice.
Like if I'm gonna build something and create it, I want to make sure nobody else has it.
Nice. I like that.
He does a great job.
So you guys I just was reading the paper today. You guys got a big old grant. What was that all about?
That grant, man.
Front cover news. I saw that. I was like, what?
Seriously, dude.
I told him, he called me one day and he goes, Kristen, I'm going to apply for this grant, but what should I put in it? I said, everything. Because your organization does so much,
Yeah.
you should put everything in there because you need help.
Yeah.
What was it for?
So we applied for 2 grants and we got 2 at the same time.
Nice.
One of them was through the Alfred Harrell Foundation down in Bakersfield. We had applied for a study to see what the impact is to native fisheries here in the Kern after the Sequoia Complex fire. What impact did that fire have to the trout fisheries?
Awesome.
So that study is going to be starting from the Tulare County line all the way up to like the Forks area. We'll be
sweet.
hiking in. We have all these sensors that we bought. And, with the sensors, we measure parameters. We'll take samples of the water in the soil, send them out for testing. And we have an intern who just came on, and she's going to compile all this data and put it all together for us at the end of the year. And then that data will be used for future management decisions that goes with the Forest Service or the EPA or whatever, whoever it might be.
I've been known to, volunteer for people that need to catch fish in certain areas. So if you guys need any help with
Yeah,
that.
if any fly fishers out there, come hit me up if you want to. Because some of the grant does
I
require us
smell
to.
a collaboration.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. Well, let's get to the Upper Kern Fisheries Project. I believe that you are doing a documentary.
Yeah.
So let us know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, we were funded for a documentary from the Kern Community Foundation, and the documentary was going to tell the story about the return of the almighty Kern River rainbows back here to the Kern.
Hallelujah.
So part of that project was for us to follow Department of Fish and Wildlife into Sequoia Kings National Park, where they had, at the time, they thought was the purest strain of Kern River rainbows, which was in Big Arroyo Creek. Unfortunately, that year, a lot of the people on that trip got altitude sickness and they canceled the trip, so we all had to come back. The following year was the year of the earthquake, and a part of that trail was washed out in the big rock slide, so it was canceled. Last year, it was canceled because of COVID.
And what about this year?
It's not going to happen this year or next year. So
Is it ever going to happen?
apparently it is. So we'll see. We just had a meeting with them. So what they've decided to do is they are still in search of the most pure strain that they can find. They thought they had it at Big Arroyo. It turned out it wasn't.
What happened? Do you know what happened with that?
I don't know. I mean, it had to do. It came down to like some DNA.
Yeah.
And they realized that this wasn't it. This isn't the fish that we thought it was. So,
Interesting.
I know they've been up to the Nine Lakes Basin area up there, and they found a few fish that they're testing out to see. But you know, their priority right now is to get this hatchery completely renovated, get those pools put in, find a manager who can actually run the place.
Maybe Gary.
No.
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 I'm sorry.
I will never work for a government agency.
Whoa.
So that's the thing right now. Is their goal is to get this built, ready to go. So when it's ready, the fish can come in.
Yeah.
But they are out there doing their trips. They're going out there. I know they're doing a trip to Wenatchee in July. They're gonna go hit up the. I always forget the name of the barrier wall up there.
The Schaefer barrier?
Yeah, there we go. They're looking at really random spots. They're going to start looking at areas where they probably don't want to look at, but they're just going to give it a shot.
Okay.
Because you know how it is. Sometimes you just like find like this random fish in there.
Have they ever
you know?
consulted you, Guy?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would think that you would know a lot about this.
Yeah. I've done a lot of the fishing and, genetic studies, testing for those guys and that sort of thing.
Sometimes
That's really cool.
like sometimes they find remember like 2 years ago they found a coastal rainbow, like a native coastal rainbow in the LA River.
Right.
Like, remember that? Yeah, like how did that fisherman survive in those warm waters and all that?
It really likes graffiti and music, apparently.
And then last year, remember they found a native steelhead in the Ventura River.
Sure.
Like how did that fish even get there? But
Yeah.
so now they're kind of like opening up the whole like outside the box theory of like maybe we don't have to go up there. Maybe this fish is down here.
Sure.
I mean,
What if it is here?
Yeah.
I
dude,
bet
you
it
never
is.
know. It could be the Beaver Pond right now, sitting there just hanging out.
You know what's funny, you guys? This year, we've seen more wild fish in the 20-mile section than we've ever seen. Like
Why-
crazy amounts.
Why do you think that is?
We have no idea. We're finding them like this big to like, this big.
Because we have a low water year. We had the big fire,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean,
So I wonder what those conditions have caused that to happen.
I don't know. It's a phenomenon that's going on that we're all, the guides that work for me, most of the fish that they're catching right now are wild fish, not hatchery fish. So it's pretty cool to see.
That's
That means
really
that the
cool.
river is really healthy.
Yeah,
So I'm not
exactly.
I'm actually interested to see that study up at the Forks and beyond how that
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is. And you know what's going to be really cool? It's kind of a bummer this year, but people aren't able to go up to the Forks this year because it's closed,
Right.
or the whole Golden Trout Wilderness. So it's going to rest
Oh yeah.
that
I
whole
think
place.
that's so important.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So people, please don't go up there.
Yeah.
If the Forest Service says it's closed for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what else is like usually when we have these big fires and then the first big storm comes in and
Yeah.
washes we didn't have that this year.
I know.
Like I was really legit expecting the Kern River
I'm
just
sorry,
turn
when
into
did we
black
have a
sludge.
storm?
We never did.
Exactly.
But I remember what happened after the Cedar fire? Like it
Yeah.
looked like it was a river of oil going down.
Yeah, the McNally fire too.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
black sludge, and I remember like the river was like at 25,000 CFS.
Yeah.
It was like black as black it could be.
Yeah.
And there were like the crazy Kernville whitewater rafting guides going down the river.
They were hitting their paddles
Yeah.
on the Kernville Bridge.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing John Stallone on his stand-up paddle going down.
No, you did not.
I was
That's
like,
funny.
dude, these guys are super nar.
Nar, who says that anymore?
I do.
So what's the future of the Kern River Conservancy?
Wow, that's a really loaded question, man.
It is. It is.
Well, the future. I always have like this like big ambitious like.
What do you
ideas.
see, man? Are you going to go bigger?
He needs
Are
to
you
go
gonna-
to Gold Ledge and consult the Black Panther before he answers this question.
The Black Panther.
Sometimes I feel like I hit like the paramount of success on this river. I feel like we've done everything.
There's no way.
And like, what else is there to do? Like,
There's
I
so
feel
much
like,
more.
Yeah, but when I feel like I have like I can do more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more for me to do.
There is.
And there's like all these ideas that have gone through my head about maybe starting like a regional organization and morphing the Conservancy into something bigger where we can, have our hands on.
Well, now you've just hired your first staff.
Yeah.
So the intern that he is talking about that's doing the water quality testing for certain projects, that's the first staff that you have that we're paying. So, I mean, that's a big step.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
awesome.
I jumped on board because I come with a law background and a science background. And, I believe in everything he does. And so Gary is so good at connecting people and connecting to the environment. And I want to do everything I can to help him get there. If he doesn't know how to do it, I'm going to find it and I'm going to make it happen for him.
Good.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like sky's the limit, and it's going to be
totally
interesting
is.
to see how the post-pandemic, I know we're still in a pandemic, but I mean, now that things are reopening, it's going to be interesting to see how the Conservancy tackles things.
I mean,
from here on out.
We're already off to an amazing start between
That's
the
true.
grants. We had a huge Give Big Kern fundraiser this year, which was our biggest one ever. And we're not even halfway through the year, and there's still more money to be made. We have more fundraisers coming up. We're launching our very own film festival this year.
That's a
what's
big
that called?
deal.
It's called the Southern Sierra Film Festival.
Sweet.
So this is how you can see my brain working is like I'm always looking for ways to expand the Conservancy.
So should we tell everybody about the rager we're going to throw here? Or?
Dude, totally.
Had to bring it back.
Yeah. So we currently are working on a fly fishing documentary for the Kern River.
Yeah.
Guy Jeans is in it. And some other people as well. So we've been working on it for almost 3 years, and we've had setbacks because of the trails being closed, and we haven't been able to get stuff done. And Martin, who's kind of the lead on that project, has done an amazing job. And so what we're doing is we're kind of changing some of the things in this movie because we're unable to go on these backcountry expeditions with Fish and Game to get the fish. So we're kind of shifting our focus on different storylines now. And
I think that's great.
Yeah. So we want to finish this movie sometime by the end of the summer. Our film festival is going to be in August in Bakersfield at the Kern County Museum. But then we're going to have a second one here in Kernville, probably in October. And we're going to do it right here in the Kern River Fly Shop parking lot. We're going to...
I'm talking about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Gonna have some bands.
Yeah, we're going to have some music.
Are we going to have your band?
I think so.
Please.
I think I already told the Stoneflies that we're playing.
Come on. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to have
Absolutely.
food, and, I'm going to...
Brownie's gonna hook
twist Chris Brown's arm to come up here with a Santa Maria grill and tear up the tri-tip. And,
Yeah.
I might be handing out food to people.
I still have to talk to Jill about it.
Okay.
Jill will be
Hey, Jill.
fine.
Hey Jill,
haven't
we're
even
throwing a
asked
Jill
rager in your
loves
parking
me.
lot.
Can we take your parking lot?
She loves me.
She's actually been listening to this
Oh, she
podcast.
has?
Yeah, she
Jill,
loves
if
it.
you're listening,
We love you, Jill. Thank you for helping me with my house projects last weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's awesome, actually.
She's so great.
If you don't approve, bad things can happen.
Whatever.
I know. Anyway, so we're doing that. We're launching the Southern Sierra Film Festival, and the whole purpose of that is to encourage young, upcoming artists, whether they're photographers, filmmakers,
I think that's
or
amazing.
painters, or any, the San Joaquin Valley, like Bakersfield, Tehachapi, to Fresno, Three Rivers, Visalia, Porterville. It's like untapped resources
I totally agree.
for like
The arts.
like people that are very like in the arts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also in the environment, like we have all these gateway communities, whether it's a Sequoia National Forest, the Tule River, the Kern River, the Kauai River, the Kings.
Totally.
These kids, it's their gateway community.
So Gary, can people submit to the film festival right now?
Yep.
And what can they submit, and how do they do that?
So what you have to do is go to the Southern Sierra Film Festival.org website.
Southern
and
Sierra
Filmfest.
Filmfest.org.
.org.
Okay.
And then you can go submit, and it's totally free. This is where it separates ourselves from everybody else. Most film festivals charge an arm and leg for submissions.
Like literally?
Literally.
Oh.
Like, and they charge tons of money for artists to submit their stuff. They charge money to come to their events, and it's stupid. And I've always felt like it kind of discriminates like underserved communities like the San Joaquin Valley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what, screw it. We're going to go ahead and do it, and we're going to do it free. It's free for artists to submit. It's free for people to come and experience as well.
So do you are you going to display, like, if people submit photos and art that's not movies, is that going to be displayed
Yeah.
on site
Yep.
or how is that going to happen?
So if you're an artist or a photographer and you want to put your work on display, you can come out and have like a booth set up, which is free for you. And you put all your stuff up there. If you want to
That's
sell
really
it,
cool.
you can sell your stuff. If you want to just have a display, it's totally up to you. And if you're a filmmaker, you can submit it on our website. You can send us the link to the video
How
or
long
the
does the
file.
film have to be? Is there a limit?
The limits are about 15 to 18 minutes for films because we want to maximize how many films we can show. I don't want like hour-long movies, and then we're gonna have like this film festival that's like 12 hours long, and just to watch.
Sure you don't want that?
No, I
I'm
don't.
laughing
My
about it because
films-
it's
So,
so
if
funny.
3 hours long.
If we keep it short, then like I can show. I'd like to show 4 to 5 movies an hour.
Yeah.
And maybe a feature film as well. So
Yeah.
I want the films to be short so people we have more time to show everybody's movie.
Do you have anything ready?
We do actually have 3 films submitted so far.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So Gary and I have had this discussion before, and I think I want to talk to you guys about it as well. But Gary, why do you think that the Kern River is overlooked amongst all the rivers in California? What is it? What's going on? Why are we always last on the list when it comes to native trout, conservation? What is it about that? Is it because you're finally bringing attention to this area and maybe we're starting to get a little bit of look, or is it just people just kind of overlook us because we're so far south?
Man, I have the same feelings because I always feel, and I always tell people, I have this discussion, I'm like, I feel like the Kern River is like the bastard child of the wild and scenic rivers.
It's true.
But it's true.
Yeah, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Just
We're like
how you
the,
described it, but it's very true.
we're like the adopted redheaded child in the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
Nobody likes us. Nobody
I
cares.
think it's just like it's in Kern County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
So-
not like
get it.
well known.
Yeah.
So I think it is a combination of there's never been a movement down here to like kind of push politicians' buttons about stuff like that.
We don't have a mayor. We're not an incorporated city here.
I'm
So
the,
that is difficult. I'm
the
sorry.
mayor.
Sorry.
I'm the mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
You
right.
are the unofficial mayor.
Hear he. So I know you and I have had many discussions over beers and talking about this, and I've talked this with other people as well, that, no matter what, the Kern River is either the last on the list or never on the list. And Kern River Conservancy is part of this huge Wild and Scenic Rivers Coalition, which is a national organization. And when I sit in these meetings and I hear about all these resources and all this money going to these rivers, and I'm over here like, hey, what about us? And it's just like, oh, sorry, guys, see you guys later, And it's
That's really frustrating.
It is. And I think it's a combination of like, there's never been representation down here before.
Right.
I also, I'm sorry, I'm going to butt in.
Please.
So I also think that it's not just resources, it's people that know how to connect A to Z. And again, I know how to do that. That's something that I know how to do. And that's why I joined. And that's why I think it's really important for people to get involved, because organizations like this that are nonprofits, they need people with skills like this. It's not like they just grow out of nowhere and they have all these skills. This is how growth happens.
Yeah.
And I think that, not only is it like Kern County and it's underfunded area, we don't have a mayor, we don't have a lot of voice here. You know what I mean? And it's so popular.
Oh.
And no one's paying attention. I mean, we are because we live here. But I think if you find people that know how to connect, like, I'm going to say like the political stuff, because that's where the funding comes from. I think that bridge, the more people that move up here that have those type of skills can really help with that.
And I think we're at that point now
You totally are.
because I have a very, very good relationship with our representatives. Like,
That's true.
I have
It's
a really,
important.
I have a really good relationship with, our Senator Shannon Grove, with Devin Mathis,
Yep.
even with Kevin McCarthy's office. I've really good relationships I've built over the years that I've kept. And I've never really crossed lines when it comes to like big political issues, you know, like it could be whether if it's related to fracking or something like that. I've always made the Conservancy stay neutral on subjects like that because it's not our role. Our role is all about recreation and protecting the river, and you know, like just enhancing the experience of the user up here is what we want to do.
And I think you've talked about how you've invited those people down here. And didn't you say that like people have come down on like rafting trips and you've taken them to do things?
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's really important, is to bring people here that make big decisions and help those people connect with Gary, with the river, and help them see like these are the issues that we have here and how to get from A to Z and how do we do that. And I think that's kind of where we are now, is we're able to build that.
And we have the connections made now, but now what we have to do is build a coalition.
Exactly.
And it's really hard in this area because we're kind of like just on our own. But you know, you remember a couple years ago when Trump came into office and he was like hell bent on like eliminating all the national monuments,
Right.
and the giant Sequoia monument was one of them. And like out of the blue, all these organizations came out of nowhere. Came here to Kernville. They're like, we need to put a stop to this, blah blah blah. And, you know, I jumped on the wagon. I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, we're going to save the Trail of 100 Giants. We're going to save this. We're going to save that. But being around some of these regional and national groups, I just kind of saw the facade of who they are.
Really?
You know, like, a perfect example is, like the organization, I'm not going to name them, but they were really, they had their hands in back in the 80s to get the Kern River designated wild and scenic. They did everything in their power to get it wild and scenic. And then what happened the day it became wild and scenic? They disappeared. That organization has never stepped foot back in the Kern since then.
Interesting.
You know, and then with the same thing with the giant Sequoia monument, where all these regional groups came out of nowhere. And the day Kevin McCarthy and, you know, they decided we're not going to touch the Sequoia monument, they disappeared. They never came back. They never stepped foot here. No matter how many times I've reached out to them for help, hey, we need help here. We need funding. What can we do? It's just like crickets. Like nobody gives a shit, you know. Like, and then
So weird.
the second another political thing pops up, they're all going to come running again. Like,
It's called a window of opportunity.
yeah, it is.
And it's just for them.
Yeah, totally. It
Right.
100% is. And those organizations, like, it just really pisses me off because they just come when they want, you know, and they come and they prey on all these retirees with money in their town. They want to take their money. They want to promise them this. They want to promise them that. And then they disappear,
Right.
you know, and then we kind of get left with the bill. Oh, we just made this wild and scenic. Now you deal with it. You know, we just turned this into a wilderness. Now you deal with it. You know, it's like, no, like we need your guy. This was your idea, not mine. You know, so they kind of like stir up the pot, create a mess, and then they take off.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a trip, man.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
Yeah, I think the best example was a couple years ago. I remember how pissed off I was when the San Gabriel River in LA, which is not a wild and scenic river, got $15 million to manage the river's recreational opportunities and all that kind of stuff. And I'm over here like, wait, we're wild and scenic. Why are we not getting that money?
Exactly.
Yeah, why is that?
We got zero.
It's weird. It just blows my mind that we're just
I
kind
don't
of
know.
looked
I don't know
over.
if it's a Forest Service issue or I don't know if it's a political thing. Yeah,
I think it's a combination of a lot of those things for sure.
We're going to change that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, obviously the politics in LA are way different. They're more pro-environment and getting
That's
stuff
why
done.
I'm here.
But, you know, over here, it's not the same thing. You know, over here,
But we're going to make that change.
oh, obviously.
And
Yeah.
I think the more people that get involved, the better.
Yeah.
And if people really care about coming to the Kern, they care about coming to the fly shop, they care about what it looks like. I feel like the more people we can get involved, just come out for a day, you know? Even if you come to the fly shop and you're doing a guided thing, like, you know, find out what the Conservancy's doing,
Yeah.
find out, you know, what we're doing, and, you know, you can reach out to Gary, you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to come out and show you, like, these are the problems that we have out here. You know, we can do a cleanup for your business.
Yeah, we need support from other groups. If we want to build a coalition to achieve our goals of getting maximum funding to the Forest Service for them to properly manage this river, it literally has to take a village, you know?
It truly does.
And right now we're kind of like, you know, between us and the keepers of the Kern, you know, we do all we can, but it needs to be broader because when you look at other watersheds, they have 10, 15 organizations behind them, some regional, some national.
And they're not as busy.
Yeah.
I have to throw that out there because they're not as busy as us.
Yeah.
But, like it has to come from everybody. It has to come from the fly fishing clubs as well. Like they, like the fly fishing clubs have been amazing to us. They donate money. They come and clean up. They do stuff when we need help. They see that we're struggling through social media, and they'll come up and say, what can we do to help you guys? But what we really need is we need, these clubs to start appointing people within their club to take on policy and politics, to be like an advocate.
Nice. So that's what you suggest for the fly fishing clubs?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, man.
I think the fly fishing clubs need to step up as well. I think
If you have the skills and you have the background, step up.
Yeah, help us out.
People should
Let's do it.
Say, hey, we're gonna work with you guys. We'll get this thing figured out. Let's see what we can do.
And I, even people that aren't associated with the fly fishing clubs, anybody that has the skills like Kristen.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was just using the fly fishing club as an example.
Right.
But it can be anybody.
It's case in point with me because I just moved here and I have all those skills.
Yeah.
I have a background in environmental law, and I was like, you know what? This organization is doing great. My skills, I think I can help them. And we need more people like that for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. One of my clients, his name's Eric DeVoe. He's a environmental consultant. He actually is going to meet you guys afterwards, after the podcast out here. But
he is.
He is. He's probably waiting out there. But he is.
Garçon, can you go check the door, please?
Yeah. He's probably out there. But check this out. So I was like, hey man, the hatcheries, closed down, this and that, and I go, we need to contact this person. He's, oh, dude, I know that guy at the Fish and Wildlife. I know her. I know this. And so he scheduled a meeting with me and a couple other people and an environmental lawyer and another guy. And we actually talked to these people in the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about, is having these collaborative discussions.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the things that need to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what the Conservancy is all about.
I think one of my biggest attributes to what we do is if you know me, I'm very social. I like hanging out at the bar or the brewery or whatever.
Gary's the best.
But at the same time, that's where I thrive when it comes to engaging conversations on stuff. Where I'm in my habitat, I'm just this is it. I'm gonna.
That's how we get stuff done.
You talked to Jim, I think, at the saloon. At the saloon,
And
that's how he gets things done.
But you and I, when we were at the brewery a couple months ago, and I'm not going to name her name, but she's our senator. She happened to come in.
Yes, she did.
And she came right up to me, gave me a hug, and we chit chatted for a couple minutes while we're having some beers.
It was great.
But I got more done in that 5 minutes of talking to her with a beer than I would have through her assistants and her handlers trying to figure meetings out and this and that.
So if somebody wants to donate to the Kern River Conservancy, how do they do that, Gary?
So they can go to the Mercedes dealership and pay for my car payment. No, I'm playing. It's pretty simple. There's 2-3 ways you can do. Go directly to our website and donate on our website.
What's the website?
KernRiverConservancy.org.
Nice. Okay.
And or you can mail us a check. Our address is on the check on the website.
Okay.
We're on Amazon Smile. You can click us as your charity of choice. So
really?
Amazon will donate to us. So every time you buy something, Amazon will donate a percentage to us.
It's a great,
there's
great
so many
thing.
Ways of donating. You can sponsor us. You want to sponsor the film festival, your business or whatever. There's endless opportunities of how you can do that.
And you can always volunteer.
Yeah, and you can always
for
volunteer.
Cleanups. And you can do private cleanup events, which I didn't know until I came in. And you do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so because of COVID, we get a lot of companies that want to do a private cleanup just for themselves and their company. And so we've done a ton of those starting last year. And into this year, we've already done 2 or 3 so far. And, these companies will call us and say, hey, we want to bring our employees out. It's almost like a team building exercise. But we integrate the river cleanup into the whole thing. And then we talk about Leave No Trace. And we talk about the challenges that we face here and what we need. And, and it works out really well.
So it's not just donations.
Yeah.
You can do the volunteering too.
For sure.
That's great.
So there you guys have it, the KernRiverConservancy.org. And I want to thank Gary and Kristen for coming. I'm so happy that you guys are here. You guys are a blessing to this community. And I want to thank you for being on the podcast, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, this is the Kern River Fly Shop Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening.